good morning. It's Thursday and time for Walla Stamping Live. So this card I came up with this morning actually. I had been looking at some different pop-up card ideas and saw some that I really liked, so I kind of incorporated the ideas from the few that I saw that I liked, that I felt comfortable making, into this card that I'm making today. So I did do a little boo-boo though. This is my prototype more or less, and as you can see down here, I've got these leaves that are hanging out the bottom of the card because when you open it, it's got all these leaves in the background, and I made it so that you could put a gift card in here, and I just stuck my IKEA card in there because I have a lot of orange in here and I thought that would look good. But I guess I didn't think to close my card when I was putting on the leaves and they stick out the bottom. So I've redone a couple of the measurements so that that won't happen to you. So all right, let me set this one aside and we're going to go ahead and hop on in here and get started because this card does take a little bit of time to make. Now, for the base of the card, we're going to be using Very Vanilla. This is 8.5 by 5.5. All you need to do is fold that over, use your bone folder, and crease that score line. So then you have a 5.5 by 4.25 card. Then the DSP that I'm using is one that I really like a lot. It is the Painted Autumn Designer Series paper. So I've got this piece cut to 5.5 by 4. And if you'll notice, I put it on my card a little bit different. I lined it up even with the top and the sides and just left a little bit of my Very Vanilla showing at the bottom. And then I have a piece of Early Espresso. This is cut to 5 1/8 by 2 7/8. And I should have another piece of Very Vanilla. There we go. This is cut to 5 by 2 3/4. So let's go ahead and get the front of our card put together. I'm just going to be using some Fast Fuse today. You can use whatever adhesive you prefer. You could use liquid glue or you could use snail on this if you want to. Now I wanted my leaves going up this direction. As you can see, they kind of curve a little bit. So I'm going to take my card and I'm going to lay it on a flat surface, and of course this is upside down, so this is upside down. I'm going to line that up there, both of these on the surface of my workstation so that I know that that is straight across the top. Okay, and then you can always open up your card, and if you see, like I have, that is just a smidge too wide for the card. So you can always come in here with your scissors and just trim that off. But actually, that is such a minute little amount, I'm not even going to worry about it. Okay, so I'm going to take some of my soft suede, and I'm going to use my sponge dauber, get a little soft suede on there, and I'm actually going to dab a little bit of it off right there. And I'm just going to come across the bottom of this little edge of the Very Vanilla that's showing and just distress that a little bit right across the bottom. I don't want it to be super duper dark, but I want some to be there. Alrighty. Then I've got my Very Vanilla that I'm going to be building up on the top. I want to do the same thing here. So I'm going to get a little more ink on there, and I don't want this color to be too bold. So I'm going to rub most of it off onto my little scrap piece of paper, and then just come in and work some of that up on the edges. And I'm using a very light hand here because I don't want it to be real dark. I just want it to have a little bit of color around the edges. I'm working most of that off, coming in around the edge, then working my way in a little bit as I know that a lot of that ink has rubbed off. So we're just going to go all the way around this cardstock doing this. You could also use your stamping sponges for this if you want to. I just have the sponge dauber handy, and that's what I'm going to be using for some of the leaves in this project. So I'm just going to use this instead of dragging out an additional sponge to do it with. Okay, that is good enough. Now I'm going to go ahead and put my sentiment on, and the stamp set that I'm using today is the Layering Love stamp set. And what I'm going to use is the Enjoy the Little Things. I think that this card would be appropriate for a man or a woman. What I would probably do a little bit differently if I was going to give this to a woman is I would probably change this background color and use Old Olive or maybe Pumpkin Pie instead. I feel like the Early Espresso, I mean, sure, you could give this to a woman, but I think it makes it look a little more manly, just in my opinion. So I'm going to use my soft suede to stamp this. And you could use the Early Espresso if you want to, since we have Early Espresso cardstock, but I think the soft suede looks very much like the Early Espresso when you stamp it, so I'm just going to use that. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and get these put on our card. I'm going to put my sentiment on top of my Early Espresso and just make sure that I have equal portions of that Early Espresso showing around the outside. Then I'll use the Fast Fuse again and put this on my card front. And I'm putting this a little closer to the top than the bottom. I don't want everything on this card to be just centered, if that makes sense to you. Hopefully it does. Now what we're going to do next is we're going to go ahead and create our paper that makes this leaf as well as the leaves that you see on the inside here. And I've got a piece of Very Vanilla. This is just 11 inches by 3. I'm going to be using Pumpkin Pie, Pear Pizzazz, and the soft suede. I'm going to start out with my Pumpkin Pie. And let's see here. Get that inked up. I was just looking to see if I had anybody joining me. I'm just going to really quickly just run this color kind of haphazardly down through this cardstock. And if I get some heavy spots like that, I'm not going to worry about it because I think that it just adds to the look of those leaves. I wanted this card to look really fallish. I didn't want it to look Halloween or Thanksgiving or anything like that because like my husband's birthday is in November. So this is a card that I would probably make and give to him because it just says fall to me. It doesn't scream any kind of holiday. All right, so I've got that on there. I'm going to sit this aside for now, and I'm going to grab the Pear Pizzazz. Get that inked up, and just come in here again, and just haphazardly and randomly go down through this cardstock and just dab on this color. You don't have to go all the way out to the edges because we're just cutting out, let me show you, this leaf, and I cut my cardstock a little bit wider than I knew that I would need it for this very reason, so that I would have plenty of room to play around with all of these colors. You could use Old Olive on this if you would like to also, but the Pear Pizzazz is a softer color, and I just decided to go with that instead of the Old Olive because I wanted the green to be softer. I didn't want it to stand out a whole lot. All right, so we're done with the Pear Pizzazz for now. We're going to use the soft suede, and soft suede is a strong, vibrant color, so I'm going to dab a lot of it off over on the side before I come into my card with it. Just go down through there. Smudge some of that on. Then if you want to come back down through here and just do some dabbing motion, that kind of looks good too. Because you know, in the fall, a lot of times when the leaves start to turn from orange to brown or whatever color they're going to go to. They eventually turn brown. A lot of times they're kind of speckled looking. So that's sort of what I was thinking about when I started doing this dabbing process. Okay, so for the leaves, let me look at my notes here. We're going to need 5 of these large leaves, and this is coming from the Seasonal Layers Thinlits. So I'm going to cut out 5 of these, and I think that I needed some small ones too. I need 2 of those. So I'm going to cut out 2 of the small and 5 of the large. So let me move some things out of the way, and I'm going to grab my Big Shot and bring it on over. All right. So I'm just going to lay these thinlits down. I'm going to lay those kind of close together, so that I can make sure that I have plenty of paper to cut out all of the leaves that I need for this card. I don't know about you guys, but I love 3-dimensional projects. Now, sometimes I do feel like I just want to do a plain old, everyday, flat card and everything just be 1-dimensional. But my preference is just my personality to do things that are 3-dimensional. I've always been that way. Okay, so there's 2 of the small ones that I needed, so I'm going to put that framelit over there, and I need to cut out 3 more of these large leaves. We're going to do some additional sponging on here just to give these leaves a little more life and a little more realistic look. But this is a fun way to use your inks and your cardstock to cut out fall-looking leaves. I think it would probably be a fun idea to try this maybe with some floral framelits too, but of course use different colors. All right, so there's my 5 large leaves and my 2 small leaves. I'm going to set this aside, and while I'm at it, I might as well go ahead and cut out my leaves from the old olive. Now, from the old olive, I need 2 of the large leaves and 2 of the small leaves. So let's go ahead and get those cut out. So there's my large framelit. Where did I put my small one? I do this to myself all the time. Okay, where is my small leaf? Do y'all see it? Because I can't see it. All right, I'm just going to cut this out for now. I set it down somewhere, and I've probably covered it up. I'll find it in a minute. Okay, so I needed 2 of these. And I don't think I told you what size paper this is. It's 5 inches by 5 inches square. So there's the 2 large ones. Oh, there's the small one. I knew I just set it somewhere out of view. So I'm going to cut that out. I'm also going to need one of these, which this is kind of the outline of the leaf. So I'm going to go ahead and cut one of those out at the same time I'm cutting this small one. And I'm going to leave that one on there while I'm cutting out this next small leaf, because that is a pretty intricate die, and I want to run it through more than once to make sure that I get it cut out really well. And I should have put my sticky paper on the back, and I forgot to, so I'll just use glue when I cut that out. So there's those 2 old olive small leaves. Now let's see if that cut through pretty well. I'm just going to grab my die brush here and try to get all those pieces out of the middle the best that I can. Hey, it did pretty doggone good. If there's any extra little pieces, excuse me, that want to be stubborn, I just use my piercing tool and get those out. So there's that one. Now we also need to cut some gold foil leaves out with this. I did remember my sticky back paper on this. So this is Stampin' Up's adhesive sheets by Suggs. It's a permanent adhesive. What I did was I cut some pieces just slightly smaller than my foil sheet. And I'm going to go ahead oh, no, I do need that. And put my precision base plate on here and use that just to make sure that I get these cut out really well. I'm just going to run one of these through at a time because I only have one die. So that kind of be hard to do 2 at a time with one die, right? I am going to go ahead though and run this through like 3 times because this foil sheet is thicker and I want to make sure that I do get it all cut out. I'll use my die brush again and try to get all those pieces out of the middle. Okay, that's not bad. I think that's fine. And let's do the second piece. Get those scraps off of there. Well, actually, I do see a few little pieces left in there. I'm going to try to get those out real quick. Got a piece wanting to hang on for dear life. Okay, that's good enough. Let's put this in there and run this through. Go ahead and run it through 3 times just to make sure. Die brush again. Hopefully I'm getting most of that out. Just poke these out with my paper piercing tool. And sometimes even when you pull the adhesive paper off the back, to reveal the adhesive on this sheet, it'll pull those little pieces out with it as well. Okay, I'm gonna put that framelit back so I don't lose that. I don't think I'm going to need the precision base plate again. Let's see, am I missing anything that I need to cut out? Yes. All right, I am using an additional Thinlit set. You don't have to use this. You can freehand this part. This is the Swirly Scribbles Thinlits. The reason that I'm using it is because I like the shape here and I wanted the inside of my card to have that shape going on for the leaves and the branch and all. You can freehand this if you want to, but this is such a nice shape that I'm gonna go ahead and use this to cut out my heels. So I am changing up the size of this paper so that my heels and leaves won't stick up too far and stick out the edge of your card. Alrighty, so what do we got here? The heels. Here we go. Here's the 2 pieces for that. Going to cut out one of these at a time. So this piece is cut to 5.5, actually just slightly shy of 5.5 inches to prevent it from sticking out, oopsie, sticking out past the edge of the card. So I cut it just a hair smaller than 5.5 inches wide, and then it is 3 inches tall. So I like this shape right here. I'm going to lay that right at the very top of my card, just making sure that I get this line cut out. Lay my other cutting pad there and run that through. Okay, so we've got that one cut out. Let me get the extra paper out of here. Might be easier if I just poke it through those holes. There we go. Now I'm going to take the 2-inch piece. Sorry about that. I dropped that and it probably made a loud noise. All right, so I'm going to put that on there and run this one through. My plates are getting warped because I've used them so much. I'm going to turn that over so that it's more of a bowl shape than a mountain shape. Try that again. There we go. That'll work. And like I said, you can always just freehand cut this out and make it shaped how you want it to be. Whatever you're comfortable with is fine. And I think I've got everything cut out that I need to use the Big Shot for. If not, I'll just grab it back. Let me clean some of this off. Okay, now I'm going to use my Pear Pizzazz, and I'm going to color just on the tops of these heels. Let me make sure I've got this. Well, it doesn't really matter, I suppose. I was going to make sure that the heels were going the same way as the card that I've made previously, but it's not really that important. Just whatever pleases your eye. Okay, so there's some on that one. And I'm going to flip this one over this way because if I do, I don't want my heels the same like that. So I'm going to flip this one over this way so that the heels are rising and lowering at different places. There we go. That's all we need on that. Now I do need to score these. I'm just going to use my Stampin' Trimmer because I have a bunch of stuff sitting on top of my Simply Scored. So this we want to line up at the 1/2 inch mark. I'm going to make sure my cutting blade is out of the way and score this at 1/2 inch. And just fold that back like that. This one we don't need to score. Gonna move that over there for just a minute. All right, this is the gift card. So we actually do need to score this as well. So this needs to be scored at 1/2 inch. So I'm gonna do that on the right hand side of my cutting and scoring track and then turn it around so that that score mark is over to my left now. And this needs to be scored at 1 3/4 of an inch, which should be the center of this card. And then again on the right hand side, I'm going to line that up at 1/2 inch and score it again. There we go. Now what I'm going to do with this, just to make sure that I can get this inside the card and it will fold freely back and forth, I'm going to fold and burnish those going one way and then turn these little tabs and fold and burnish them going the other way. Now the center, I'm going to fold and burnish one time. I'm going to be using my Layering Ovals framelits for this, and I'm going to use the very largest one. What I like to do is mark the center of my card, and it should be 2 3/4 of an inch. So I'm just going to put a mark right there. That just helps me with the placement of this oval. Now I'm going to just eyeball this and try to get it in the center left to right. And then from this score line, I want the edge of this oval to be about 1/8 of an inch up from the bottom, and I'm going to hold that in place with a piece of Post-it note tape. So I'm just going to grab my Big Shot again and run this through and get this cut out. And this is where we're going to place the gift card. I'll show you how that works once we start getting the card all put together. All right, so let me get this out of the way. Move the Big Shot over here, get this out of the way. Okay. I'm going to fold those up. Now here's my card base. What we're going to do with this is I'm just going to use my fast fuse and put some strips down through here. You can do a solid piece of fuse if you want to, but I like to conserve, so I'm just using little snips of pieces down through there. Now I'm going to take my card, and off of this center score line, I'm going to measure 1/2 of an inch and just make 2 or 3 marks down through here so that I know where I want to place this. I'm going to line this cut edge right up with those dotted marks, but I am going to cover them up. But that just helps me get this on here straight. Then I'm going to fold it up like this and stick this down just by bringing it over this way. Then get that stuck down. And I've got something on there. I think that came off of my cutting pads and my Big Shot. Okay, so now I have a couple of pieces of paper that I want to cover this up with. Where did I put them? Maybe I failed to cut them. If I don't run across them before we get to the end of the card, then I will cut them. But I know I did. I'm not sure what I did with them. It's okay, we'll come back to that. We'll go ahead and get these two pieces put in place. And to do that, I'm just going to lay this over and put adhesive, my fast fuse, on the back. Run a little bit right down through there. Then line that up with that folded score line there, and then attach it to the back. Alrighty, and then the way that you use this is, since this card is folded over right here, that leaves you a little slot, and you can just slide your gift card right down inside there like that. Isn't that a cool idea? Love it, love it, love it. All right, now to attach this. I have a piece here, and it is 1.5 inches wide. I wasn't worried about how long it is. What I did was I put it in my Simply Scored scoring tool, and I scored 1/2 inch. Well, actually, I scored it 1/2 inch, and let's see, what did I score at? I done forgot. 1/2 inch and 1 inch. So this is a 1/2 inch score and a 1 inch score. Then I'm just going to take my scissors and cut these across this way, across the 1.5 inch measurement, and I'm not really concerned with how wide they are, as long as they're at least 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, it's fine. Then you want to fold these kind of like an accordion, like that. Do all 3 of them. Then you'll want to use your glue dots for this. What I'm going to do is both of these little flat sides, I'm going to stick a glue dot there, then just flip that over and stick a glue dot there, lay that down. Do the same to all 3 of these. And I just set them aside until I start putting my card together. And I am just about out. I bet I don't have 10 of these left, but I just placed an order yesterday and they were on the list. All right, what we're going to do now is we're going to take, let me go ahead and glue this in place first. Take your fast fuse, and this is going to go in your card like this, okay? So that flap will be going toward the fold in the card. I'm going to put my fuse on here, right below that score line. Then take my card and line this up right next to that fold in the middle of the card. Okay? Then we're going to take one of these and we're going to place it on the back, kind of close to the bottom of this score line right here. Then I'm going to fold that over and grab a hold, just like that. We're going to do basically the same thing here. Put these two relatively close to this score line. Then hold those down, fold the, oh, I have done this upside down. Lord have mercy. All right, y'all, I have lost my mind today. Let me see if I can get this off and put this on the right side. No, I'm right. I'm right. I thought I had done it upside down. Whew. What a relief. Okay, so then when you open your card, the purpose of these little tabs is to make it so that you can fold it flat, but when you open your card, it pulls those heels up and it'll actually stand straight up like that. And this one didn't really stick where I wanted it to. I think I got myself all bent out of shape about thinking that I had it on the wrong side. There, well, it is what it is. Okay, so that is the inside of your card, semi-built. Now we're going to dress up the outside just a little bit. We're going to put these 2 leaves here on the front. So I need one of these and one of these. And remember, this has that backing on it, so I'm just going to peel that backing off. It reveals the adhesive. And then I'm going to stick this down, lining everything up. So this is definitely a card that will take you a hot little minute to make, but it is so worth it. It is the kind of card that I would definitely make for a good friend or a family member, without a doubt. Now this one I did not put the adhesive paper on the back, so I'm just going to use my multi-purpose liquid glue and glue that down. And you can do this with all of them. If you don't have the adhesive sheets, you can just use your glue. Just put a little bit on the back, and sometimes if I feel like I have a little too much and it's going to smudge, I'll just wipe a little bit of it off. So this one I'm going to stick down just about right here. And I see that there's a little piece of copper foil sheet stuck in there, so let's get that out. There we go. Then this one I'm going to put on with a dimensional. I'm going to just pop one on the back. You could use two if you want to, so let's go ahead just to make sure that that is good and sturdy. Then I'm going to angle this so that you can see that little green one down there underneath. Then I'm going to take just a little dab of glue and put it right there and stick that stem down, because I don't want it getting flopped around and getting pulled off when somebody is sliding it in and out of the envelope or taking a look at the card. Now let's go ahead and build the inside of our card. One thing that I did fail to do was cut out the branch. So I have a piece of the early espresso, and this is 5 by 1.5. So I'm going to use, let me show you, this branch right here to cut this out. I'm not going to bring my Big Shot back over again. You've seen me do that enough times. You know how it works. So I'm just going to run over here on my little side table and cut this branch out real quick. So I've got that cut out. And you could always cut out more than one of these and glue it together and make it more substantial if you want to. That is probably what I would do if I were making this card to actually give it to somebody today. I would cut out more than one of these and stick it together, because it's going to make the branch more substantial and not have to worry about it so much. So now, since I have cut this branch shorter, see, on this one, the heel was taller and it stood up above the top of the card. But because those leaves were sticking out, I've made this branch a little smaller. So I'm going to have to rethink how I attach this branch. I think I'm going to do it like that. I'm going to remove this card for right now. And I'm just going to use some fuse right there on the back of that. And stick this down right here. Oh, nope, that was going to stick up above. I'm going to move this a little bit further down like this. See, opening and closing the card helps, because then you can see if anything is going to be sticking out above. All right, that should work. Okay, now on this branch, we're going to put several different little leaves. We're going to use 2 of these, and we're going to use 2 of the old olive. And where is my copper foil ones? I have not cut those out. So I need to cut out 3 of the small leaves. These right here, I'm going to cut out 3 of these. I should have probably thought this through a little bit better and gone ahead and cut out some of this stuff before I began my Walla Stamping Live today. But I didn't think that far ahead. And now I'm having to do all of my cutting live. But at least you'll get a good idea of approximately how long it'll take you to make this card. Now, of course, with me talking and showing you a lot of things as we go through and demonstrating and all that, it's going to take me longer than it will take you. And, but anyway, that's all well and good. Oh, sorry, y'all. I don't know. She thinks she hears somebody coming in the front door, and she's going to bark about it. Okay, I've just got one more to cut out, and I'll be done. Okay, so now I have all 3 of these gold foil leaves cut out, and I have those and those. I'm going to move this out of my way. Now to attach these, I'm going to use multi-purpose liquid glue. On the other ones, I just did a little dab of my fast fuse, but then I thought, well, that's going to stick out past the edges of this branch, and it's going to cause a problem with it sticking and tearing the card as you open it up. So I've changed my mind on that, and I'm just going to use the multi-purpose liquid glue. Just need a little bit on the stem right there. So this leaf I'm going to pop right out here on the end of this branch. Hold it for just a second, and that glue will set up pretty quickly. Okay. Then the other old olive branch, or leaf rather, put a little bit of glue right there. I'm going to stick that one right here onto this branch. Okay. Then I need one of the gold foil ones. Going to stick that right here. And I know that my card is possibly going to cover this up, so maybe I should move this on over here. I'm just going to put some fuse on. Nope. There we go. Yeah. Well, heck. There we go. I'm going to put some fuse on that one since it's not going to be sticking up past the edge or those branches. Okay. Then let me show you. Well, nope, I still have a couple more of these to put. Let's see, I'm going to go ahead and put one here. And let's see, where do I want to put this last one? Actually, there's only a couple of them there. The other one goes back here. So those 2. Then these couple little multicolored ones right here. I'm going to grab my sponge dauber and my pumpkin pie ink again. And like I was saying, that we were going to do some more sponging and give these leaves a little more realistic look and some more depth and dimension. So I'm going to sponge some of this pumpkin pie just around the edges of these leaves. I think that it really adds something to them. Let's see, where do I want to put this one? I'll put a dot right there, put that leaf right here. I think it would definitely be beneficial to make this branch with more than one piece of cardstock just to give it some more stability. All right, so I'm going to put this last one right here in hopes that that will kind of help hold things in place a little bit better. Now all those leaves are a little bit damp still, so I'm going to try not to mess with them too awful much. Now comes the larger leaves, and this is a good opportunity to let those dry a little bit. I'm going to be using 2 of the old olive as well as these 4 that are colored, and I'm going to do the same thing with some of these. I'm going to take this orange and dab onto some of the tips of the leaves here. And then I'm also going to add some of that soft suede as well as some of the old olive just to make them look really fallish. This is such a fun card to make if you like to do this type of thing where you like to spend time and do a lot of coloring and making things look a little more realistic, then this is definitely a card that you're going to truly enjoy making. So I'm going to add a little bit of my pear pizzazz in a couple of places too. Okay, That's enough of that. Then lastly, I'm just going to use a little bit of the soft suede and put this in a couple of places also. It doesn't take much of this because it is a bold, strong color. So you can add as much or as little as you want to your leaves. I just want to add a smidgen. Okay, that's enough of that. Now hopefully this glue has had time to set up a little bit more. So I'm just going to use my fast fuse for this. Just put a little piece right there above the stem, and then I will come in here and stick these to the heel that's in the back, just in randomness, however you like it to look. You can use glue dots for some of them if you want to, or not glue dots, but dimensionals rather. And I think that I will on some of these actually. So this one I'm going to put a dimensional on the back. This old olive one I'm going to put my fast fuse on, and I will stick this one down flat. Then take that dimensional back off and stick this one on top of it, because this is a thick card. It will probably cost a little extra to send this through the mail, quite honestly, but like I said, if you're making it for a special person, you don't mind taking the time to make the card, nor would you mind spending an extra 50 cents or 25 cents or whatever it might be to send it through the mail. I think I'm going to pop this one up on a dimensional also. And just what you want to make sure that you're paying attention to is that when you close your card, that nothing is sticking out, which I have a little bitty tip right there, but that's okay. But you want to make sure that you're not putting anything, any of the leaves or anything in there so that they're sticking out past the edges of your card. The last thing that we're going to do is put that little brown card right there. And let me grab an additional piece of early espresso. I'm just going to cut a little piece here. Now when I get the instruction sheet ready for this, any of my bloopers or my mess ups, I will make sure that I have the instruction sheet done correctly so that you don't have any issues with knowing how much paper you need or what size or what to cut out and where it goes. And I'll probably do the instructions so that you'll cut out 2 to 3 of those branches and adhere them together, because I really feel like it could be made stronger. Now this one has the adhesive paper on the back, so I'm going to pull that off, stick these 2 together, if it'll sit still for me. There we go. Get that stem on top there. All right. Then I'll just use my fuse on the back of this. Actually, I probably shouldn't have put it there. I probably should have put it more closer to the bottom. And stick that right here. I'm just going to snip off this little piece that's trying to stick out the side of my card. You could also do that too. Like that little leaf right there. There is nothing wrong with snipping that off to keep it from poking out your card if you want to. That is okay. And then you'll just slide your card into the slot there. Okay? Got it. Now, I am not seeing the paper that I had intended to cut out for the inside of the card. Alright, so what we're going to need for that is a piece of Very Vanilla that is 3.5 by 5.5. Nope, I take that back. Nope, I didn't write myself down those measurements. That's why I forgot to cut those. So let me just tell you what those are. You'll need a piece of early espresso, and it is going to be 5.25 by 3. And then you'll need a piece of Very Vanilla that's 5 by 2 3/4, and just layer those on the inside of your card as I have done here. So anyway, sorry I had a few little bloopers today. I've got an extra gold foil one here. Or copper foil. I had meant to put that in place and forgot. I'm just going to put that one right there. But of course you can do your leaves however you see fit. I really do like these leaves being up higher like this. But like I said, the only problem is when you close it, they stick out. And that was the difference between the height of these heels. If you want to experiment with that, you can. You could definitely make this one bigger. As a matter of fact, I think what I'm going to do is increase the size of this piece here by maybe another 1/2 inch. I think that that would still be fine and fit inside the card when it's closed and not stick out. But I feel like those could stick up a little bit further and look nice. Alrighty, so here is the 2 cards I made for you today. 3-dimensional pop-up card, and it will hold a gift card. Sorry for all of the bloopers and for Sugar barking at nothing. She just thought she heard somebody at the front door. So I hope that you enjoyed the tutorial today, and if you have any questions about it, feel free to send me an email or leave a comment below the video here. And on my blog post on this, I will have this on my website. You could also leave comments or questions there. I will see them in any of those 3 places. If you want to make these cards, then I will have a list of all of the supplies that I used in the description box that's below the video here. You just have to click on those and it'll take you directly to my online store. Also, on the printable PDF that I'm going to have for you, the list of supplies are there. I'll have all of the measurements with corrections on that PDF for you, and I'll have some additional pictures on there as well. So I hope y'all have a great rest of your Thursday, and if I don't get this posted today, and it could be Friday or whenever you're watching it, have a great day whatever day of the week it is, and I'll talk to you soon.